Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for joining me for what is my Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 movie review. And I'm going to tell you a little story about Little Billy. And Little Billy's Christmas Eve in 1971 was not the greatest night of Little Billy's life. Let's just put it that way. So, Little Billy and his little baby brother and his mum and dad go to visit his granddad at this mental home. And unfortunately for Billy, his granddad decides to turn around to him and tell him that Christmas Eve is the most evil night of the year and that if he's been a bad boy, Santa Claus is going to punish him and basically kill him. Thank you, Grandad. I mean, what little boy doesn't want to hear that? So anyway, as they're driving home, obviously little Billy is scared of Christmas, does not want to meet Santa Claus, and unfortunately for little Billy, he comes across a psychopathic Santa who decides to kill his parents in front of his eyes, and it's actually quite brutal, to be honest with you. And obviously, that traumatizes him. Anyway, Billy and his little brother end up at an orphanage. And a few years after the event of that, this orphanage is ran by an absolute bitch, bastard, dickhead of a nun who just decides to abuse Billy at every opportunity that she can. You genuinely feel sorry for the kid, to be honest with you. But anyway, she forces Billy to sit on Santa's lap on Christmas Eve in 1974 when Billy's like 8 years old. And naturally, Billy does not want anything to do with this Santa. I mean, does this bitch of a nun just completely forget what this poor lad went through just 4 years previous? He watched his parents get butchered by a nutcase in a Santa outfit. Anyway, Billy produces one of the best left hooks you will ever see in any movie ever. Floors Santa, runs upstairs. Anyway, fast forward 10 years later, Billy is 18 years old and he's trying to get his life together. And he's a nice lad, to be fair. You know, he seems generally lovely and he seems like he just wants to just put everything behind him, as you would do, and just crack on with his life. Anyway, he ends up getting a job at a toy store, and the guy that's supposed to be Santa on Christmas Eve in the toy store can't make it. So, who does the boss ask to be Santa? You guessed it. The one guy that hates Christmas and hates Santa Claus, and has every reason to. He asked Billy to be Santa. Anyway, Billy dresses up as Santa, and then certain events happen, and that leads to Billy absolutely losing his shit and going on a murder rampage. And it is absolutely glorious. This movie is so much fun. I am genuinely surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Because I've heard a few people here and there with this movie just go, oh, it's trash, it's crap, it's horrible, it's this, it's that. And I wasn't expecting much of it, but I do know it's a cult classic and I do know it has a hardcore following. And I'm going to join that following because, like I said, I really did enjoy this movie. And there's two reasons to why I really did enjoy this movie. One is the actor that plays Billy when he's 18 years old. I think the guy does a brilliant job as Billy. Like, he hams it up. And especially the moment when he turns nuts, when you just see him just lose his shit. And he just goes on his murder rampage. And it's just so much fun. And I think the guy has fun with the role that he's in. And I think he plays it really well because he just completely changes. And he makes you feel for Billy. I mean, what this character goes through in this movie is nothing short of horrific. And in a weird sort of way, you kind of don't blame him for losing his mind. But then, like I say, you kind of stop feeling sorry for him as the film goes on because he's just butchering innocent people by then. And it's kind of like, do you know what, Billy? My sympathy for you is kind of running out here. Just like dial it back a little bit. Just go back to the orphanage and kill that bitch of a nun. Then I am on your side. Just put an axe through that old bastard's head. That's what I want to see you do. So you do sympathise with the character to a point. And I think that was just down to the talent of the actor that portrayed Billy. I actually think he did a great job. Also, I like the variety in kills in this movie, and there's two in particular that stand out for me. One is when you get Leanna Quigley go through the deer's antlers on the wall. I thought that was quite a good effect and quite a good kill, to be honest with you. I enjoyed that one. And also the one, and I pissed myself laughing at this, is the one with the lads going down on sledging, down on the sledge, and his mate's waiting for him. And next minute, Billy just comes out, chops his head off, and then you just see his headless body just going down the sledge, and then his head bouncing down behind him. I thought that was a cracking little effect, and it was probably the best kill in the movie. To be fair, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. If I was to think of any negative about this movie, guys, is it is dated. And I can understand people that don't enjoy the movie and just consider it like a bit trashy and grindhousey and just a bit dirty in parts, because there is a lot, and I don't mean this as a negative, by the way, not for me personally anyway, but there's a lot of female breasts in this movie. At the beginning, at one point, I thought, am I watching a softcore porn Christmas horror movie here? Because if I am, I'm up for it. Absolutely. But it was like there was quite a lot of that in this movie, which I suppose was kind of the norm back in slasher movies in the early 80s. But I can understand why people don't enjoy this movie. And looking into the history of this movie as well, man, did this film cause some controversy. I mean, when it was released, God, parents were not happy. Not happy. I mean, they were outside cinemas with billboards and everything saying how, Santa Claus shouldn't be a horror movie and it's a Christmas and kids and blah blah. Not everything has to be made for goddamn children. Do you know what I mean? But hey, it was a good job they did do all that, because as it turned out, the film did really well. I think if they wouldn't have made so much noise, it probably wouldn't been as big of a hit as it turned out to be. But people just get an uproar about everything. And it doesn't just happen nowadays. It happened back in 1984 for Silent Night, Deadly Night. So it was funny looking that up and seeing all that stuff, because I don't think the film actually deserves it, to be honest. But hey, it was what it was. But all in all, I think this is a decent little slasher movie. It's definitely one that I am going to rewatch every Christmas. And it's probably turned into one of my favourite Christmas horror movies. So guys, I highly do recommend this. I think you need to check it out. And I would give Silent Night, Deadly Night, I'd give it a strong 4 out of 5. I think it's highly worth your time. So guys, have you seen Silent Night, Deadly Night before? If you have, just leave a comment below. It is always a pleasure hearing from you, whether you liked it. If you didn't like it, have you seen part 2 yet? Which I haven't seen yet, and I've got next coming up. I've heard nothing good about part 2 whatsoever. But I've also heard it's so bad, it's entertaining. And also, obviously, I know the main scene of it, Garbage Day. I know all of that. So I'm going to be watching it for the first time, and I'll bring my review of part 2 to you guys very soon. So, as always, guys, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.